doing a new video about ancient cosmology. My last video, I was showing like the foot of the Nunavak island demon from the Japanese hellscape, and so yeah, but the image I used was bad, so it was too blurry. So it matched, but it didn't match nearly well enough because it was blurry. So now I have a better photo that actually matches. So that is that is so this one, or no, this one. So this is Nunavak Island, and then this is Cape Mendenhall. This is this demon there. And so anyway, his feet, one foot is like right here, and the other foot is right there. So, but you know, obviously it's hard to see those type of details from here. All you can really see is just his arm and his bident there, and maybe one prong of it sticking out a little bit there. And his captive over there. Hey, Ronald, how's it going? Somebody probably who knows the most about this other than me. Let's see, this, so yeah, I'm gonna focus on some aspects of these two parts. So this is the Nunavak Island and the Cape Newenham demon. And this as well. I'll get back to that. So yeah, basically for the Cape Mendenhall demon, their feet are these guys here. So back foot is this one. Oh, is this right? No. Okay, yeah. Here. So yeah, because I think it's better to include this entire area because they seem to be included in the foot. Like this seems to be part of this toenail, and then these seem to be like these toenails or whatnot. So yeah, there's the back foot, the back heel, the toes. Hello, how's it going, y'all? This is the front foot, so it's like at a different angle, kind of sticking up more, and then the toenail is sticking out there. So anyway, in my last video, like I figured out that this was the foot, but because I had such a shitty image of this, the whole toenail was not visible, so it just looked like there was just this this like toe sticking out. So I was thinking, I guess this is the toe. But anyway, I just needed to use the flash when I photographed the book, and then now I can see that, of course, that's the pointy toenail sticking out. And they change the image of the angle of it often. So whereas this is more kind of the bottom, the sole of the foot is a little more faced towards us. In this, it's a little more in profile, face to the right. So we get a better look of at the ball of the foot, and you know, nail sticks out at a different angle, instead of kind of coming down, it's just sticking out. And then this nail, which is kind of weirdly smaller, even though this would kind of be the toe, but it has a smaller nail than whatever this, toe is. Or I mean, not the toe, the big toe, the toe. That's like the big toe, like the thumb toe, that if anything should have like the longer toenail on it. And this other toe, which should be like the pinky toe with like a smaller one, but because the bigger toenail is here, the other small toenail seems to be this river, or that is some topographical line. So it shows like, it's just this kind of downward pointing V, whereas here it's kind of pointing to the right, just like the other toe. So the other toe is kind of downward pointing here. Here it points to the right. Same with this one, downward pointing here. Here it points to the right. Pretty hard to see, but I'm guessing that's a river. And then we see where, the arch meets this, of course, right there. And not sure what everything is in here. I think this is the other side of the foot. That's the contour of, and then this, I'm guessing this land here is part of the leg. That's about all I can conclude on that. And I think the foot goes to probably about there, and this river, whatnot, delineates it. And so, yeah, that's a much better comparison and photo. There's a funny meme. So yeah, that's like this guy. Here's the back foot. Here's the front foot right there. Here's his bident. So like it's sometimes said that like Satan or Hades maybe has like a bident, whereas the ocean god, whatever, Neptune, I don't know, some Poseidon has like a trident, right? But then Hades has a bident. So that could relate to these, because there's at least two demons in these Japanese hellscapes, these bidents. Also the one in, the Cape Denby demon in Norton Sound. So anyway, yeah, here's his head, horns, nose, arm, hand, bident, the prongs there, and then back foot, front foot, and then the captives are in here. So like the captives, like probably this captive, like this guy, there's his head, here's this board that he's stuck in, and then she's like right there with like her boobs right here. So like I'm guessing that at least for him, there's a good chance that he may at least be also part of the leg of this demon. So it's often that you will find these type of anthropomorphic maps where some avatars will overlap on the same topography. Like that's like in the Göbekli Tepe Pillar 43, for instance. There's like the North America god who's the Louisiana vulture, whose feet are Panama, but Panama is also another bird's neck and head. And then Costa Rica is also part of other animals. So they get repurposed within the same paintings sometimes, or carvings or whatnot. So yeah, that's probably the case with him, where he's both this and or this is both him and it might be part of the front leg of this demon, unless the leg is just from here to there. But like the fact that the legs are separated from the body by water is indicated by these the dark fringe that separates the rest of his body from the legs. Like the dark fringe represents the water in here. And then there, of course, are the feet. Not super easy to see even, but there you go. Then what else we got? Afro Man. Yeah. So yeah, so this is no. So this guy, this scene is similar to those captives in the previous one in Duchicluk Bay, because those captives are shown they're shown like prograde in, like, I flipped this retrograde, I think. So I think originally yeah, I think originally it's flipped the other way, but that's because they themselves are both flipped retrograde, but their position is prograde. So by flipping it retrograde, I kind of reversed their position vis-a-vis each other. Like, this puts her seemingly at the top and him at the bottom, but it also makes them actually match the images instead of being backwards. Especially him. So that's the same thing in this other scene where it shows, this is flipped retrograde. So originally this image is backwards. He's on the other side. And indeed, Cape Newenham is to the right, basically in the scene of this part. It's like right here. But to match this, because again, it's their position is prograde on the original, but their bodies are, but they themselves are retrograde. So to see their actual individual forms, you have to flip them retrograde. So yeah, so I just took it and put it over here, but it's basically the same as the Duchicluk captives. So this guy seems to be a cyclops, and I was focusing on his head in the last video. This is his face. Okay, that's annoying. Why do you be like that? I'll just open it in a new tab, I guess. All right, image is too big a little bit. I think we need to smallen it down a little bit. So yeah, this guy, I showed this in the last video. So he seems to be a cyclops, and these two lagoons or whatever seem to be like the whites of his eyes, and then the dark of his eyes seems to be this land that separates them. And so yeah, and his tooth, I think, is something in here. So yeah. So I'm thinking, anyway, I just zoomed in on the eye just to try to suss it out. Like, so I'm thinking like this is the pupil. Basically, that might be why it's shown on the top of the eye, because even though there is no white of the eye under the pupil, or whatever you call the pupil and cornea, I hope there's a word for pupil and cornea. Like, our language is so stupid. We just don't have words for so many things we should have words for, and we have a million words that are useless for useless things. But pretending we had a real language and there was a word for the the part of your eye that's not the white. I'll just call it the dark of the eye, even though some corneas are light. So I'm guessing it might even include this area up here, and that's why it's shown on the top of the eye, not because there's actually any white of the eye under it, but just because the dark of the eye extends above the rest of the eye. So it's a weird way to convey that. So anyways, seems that, yeah, these two are the whites of the eye. Then this part that comes out on the side is like this whole area, like maybe this line and these lagoons and whatnot. Then this line that comes down can seems like it can only be this river that comes out there. And then these lines coming up seem to relate to these white lines kind of going up there. So anyway, it's a weird eye, but that's a cyclops. And this is the this Mendenhall, Cape Mendenhall demon of Nunavak again, but this is just focusing on his wrist and hand and the base of the bident, or the part of the shaft of the bident there. So that's like, this is with his arm pointing up. So, this number one here is the base, is the shaft of the bident. Number two is his hand. Number three is his bracelet, which I had to shrink the three smaller to fit it inside there. And then number four is the wrist or the arm or whatever. So in this case, the bracelet is retrograde this way, instead of curling around this way as it's shown here, it actually just curls the opposite way. And, they like to flip a lot of things retrograde. I think it was just because it's an easy way to throw off outsiders, but you can explain it more easily to insiders. Just be like, oh yeah, it's like that. It's just backwards. And then same with the hand retrograde, because this is on this side, whereas in reality, the side kind of just is submerged into the larger land mass there. And whereas really this shape is on this side, it's like this shape where it kind of comes around to a point. That's right. This point right here comes around to that point, goes in, and then there's another kind of point that comes in. That's this point comes in, and there might be some kind of river or something that explains this line right there, and then goes down to the bident there. So yeah, that's the same like with the other demon that has the bident, like Cape Denby. Cape Denby's arms are both like traded, and yeah, like that demon is like similar, where different parts of it are retrograde in different ways. This is just some cool part of something, probably on Nunavak, I don't know. Yeah, so then this is The tree of Jesse in the Book of Hours of let's see, Book of Hours of the in the Beaufort Beauchamp or Beaucamp or something Book of Hours, 1400s England, and Vishnu in the cosmic ocean as Brahma is born from the golden lotus. So we have the Brahma, the four Brahmas, the four winds basically coming out of Vishnu, out of his navel. And then we have like the four, probably also basically the four winds or something coming out of this too. I mean, this is portrayed as simply being a genealogical image showing the genealogy of Jesus, but it seems like it's probably more cosmological, depicting basically the four winds as like four kings, the four Horuses. Like in Egypt, it's like Osiris, and then the lotus uh, creates, the four Horuses, which also, are east, west, north, and south. So it just shows like that there was many, shared aspects of religion all across Eurasia and Africa and whatnot. And, people were in touch with each other. Like even these styles are clearly related. So, this idea that nobody ever knew about any other culture until, modern times is nonsense. There was people traveling, merchants, all kinds of people traveling around. Then let's see. A breakdown of the left image. Oh, is that of the that was of this one? Oh yeah. This one also has shrooms. Sorry. This seems like it may relate to either Amanita muscaria or some other type of mushroom. And there might be some other ones like here maybe. So yeah, there's a lot of early, Christian symbolism that incorporates psychedelic mushrooms. And so, like there's there's ones where it shows like Eve like picking a mushroom off the tree in the Garden of Eden and stuff. So it's clear that psychedelic mushrooms were, a very important part of a lot of ancient cultures, and maybe all of them. So Ronald Dollarhide is one of the experts of that. Doing a lot of great work. Oh, and the man with the red hat might even represent anthropomorphic mushroom with his white beard, because the red and white Amanita muscarias were very, sacred in Europe. And yeah, let's see. But yeah, it's even similar, like the fact that here Vishnu has like a golden crown, and here like these four winds, and like even the four Brahmas all have like golden crowns. So the intellectuals were going back and forth. They have been going back and forth all over everywhere since forever. So it's all very connected. And what else? Or anything else going on here? Maybe that's about it. Oh yeah, this one. So yeah. Well, yeah. So this is Buddha like pointing at the moon, and in like a Buddhist mandala. So I suspect that Buddha is Mercury, the planet. because like in Sanskrit, like Buddha's, Buddhism is a Sanskrit religion basically. And in Sanskrit, Buddha means Mercury. And whereas this guy is called Buddha, so it's like a double D, no pun intended or whatever, but double D for him and then single D for the planet. But I mean, most of the glyphs used are basically the same. Like it's one glyph that's the same and one, character that's almost the same that form their names. So the fact that Buddha is here shown in the sky next to the moon, pointing at the moon, to me suggests that he represents the actual planet Mercury. Obviously he represents various things, but so does the planet Mercury represents various things, especially wisdom and knowledge and enlightenment and whatnot. So that's also what Buddha means. Buddha means enlightenment. It means vision, perception. So this is Thoth, Jehudi of the Egyptian pantheon, gesturing towards the moon, arms outstretched towards the moon. And so I think these are both the same, iterations of the same god, more or less. Like these are like Jehudi, Thoth is Mercury, and or at least certainly seems to be Mercury. He fits all the elements that are associated with Mercury in the various traditions. And the Greeks said that he was Mercury, but modern Egyptologists claim that he's just the moon or a moon god, but they don't know. But yeah, so also like in Hinduism, there's a the planet Mercury is called Buddha, treated as a god, Buddha, and Buddha is the son of the moon. And so he's very associated with the moon, just as Thoth is very associated with the moon, Jehudi and the Egyptian. And and he's also he's like the son of the moon god, and he's the father of the moon race. So he's very intertwined with the lunar cosmology. So that fits with Buddha or whatever, because he, this is the official like Buddhist cosmograph, supposedly like, ordered by or, like explained by Buddha himself, that this is how you paint the cosmos, and you paint Buddha pointing at the moon. So this is, seen in countless mandalas. And so, yeah, I think that's because just as like the planet Mercury in the Indian and Egyptian traditions are, basically like lunar planets, you could say, strongly associated with the moon due to, cycles, aspects of their cycles in the sky. I think Mars was also very associated with the moon. So in some of these mandalas, there's a red figure shown even closer to the moon that probably represents Mars. Mars seems to be Horus in the Egyptian pantheon. So in the Egyptian tradition, the moon is actually called the Eye of Horus, the Eye of Mars, but it's also heavily associated with Mercury. So while it's the eye of Mars, Mercury is kind of pointing at it in some way or like associated with it. Um, and the rest of this is just like the rest of the cosmos, the Earth. Like this is the Earth in here, and then this might be the constellations. I'm not really sure. Um, and then this is just like the demon that, you know, rules the cosmos or whatnot. Basically, another iteration of Yama who rules over the underworld America. So that's kind of the another like trick of it is that they make the underworld seem so like scary, but then again they show like the whole world that way, so it's not really like remarkable. And so in Buddhism, they say like one of the most famous maxims or quotes from Buddha is that um, Buddha is pointing at the moon, and the fool will like see him pointing at the moon, and he'll look at the finger, and he'll just think the finger is the moon, but really the finger is just pointing at the moon. Some other variations of it say Buddha is a finger pointing at the moon. And some people and the fools will think the finger is the moon and think Buddha is the moon, but he's just a finger pointing at the moon. And so that's interesting in light of the fact that modern Egyptologists literally have confused Mercury with the moon and not realizing that he's just the finger pointing at the moon. He's Mercury. But because he's so closely associated with it, they just say, oh, I guess he's the moon. So that relates directly. And also that metaphor relates to mythology. So, you know, when like this, like say, here's this demon, anthrozoomorphic demon that's, you know, has this weapon, but really this is just not a real demon or a weapon. It's just a finger pointing at geography and topography. So if you mistake the finger for the truth, for the actuality, for the literal truth, then you become like the person in that quote, you know, the person who's looking at Buddha or his finger and thinking that's the moon would be looking at this and thinking that's literally the underworld, whereas actually that's a finger pointing towards the underworld, which is actually this, which is, you know, it's the same shape to a large extent, but it's not an actual demon that's going to stab you with that thing unless you're a boat that like runs aground on it. So yeah, and Buddha, you know, like Mercury is associated with these types of, you know, wisdom, magic, kind of esoteric knowledge generally. So like in Europe, esoteric knowledge was referred to as Hermetic knowledge, which means Mercury knowledge. So Mercury just is like a stand-in for, I mean, it's the god of wisdom. So in a sense, it's like the elder magician. So all magic, all religion is, or at least it seems in a lot of these traditions that, you know, he's the representative of that. You know, certainly in like in ancient Egypt, the earliest maps of America, the underworld that are found outside of like Pharaoh's tombs are in the city of Thoth, the city of Jehudi, Mercury, and, you know, in the Deir el-Barsha cemetery. So those people, the especially the ruling family of the city of Thoth, and, you know, they had temples to Thoth, to Jehudi, they were the masters of this type of cosmology. So this association between Mercury and the priests of Mercury, the devotees of Mercury, and knowledge, and especially esoteric wisdom and generally, seems to have been pretty widespread, if not universal. Like in the Norse pantheon, Mercury is Odin, who is the wise, god of that pantheon. In the Sumerian, I believe Mercury is Enki, who is the wise god of that pantheon, who gives the, knowledge, the civilizational knowledge to humans. Thoth Jehudi in Egypt is the inventor of writing. And that might be true of Hermes as well in the Greek, and maybe even Mercury in the Latin tradition. So, so yeah, I think I don't know why this would be a hidden fact, other than just that it's some kind of riddle that you're supposed to figure out. That's all I can think. Or just, that everything was esoteric and only, and it was explained to the people who were meant to receive it in words that are not always carried down to us today. All right, let me see if I got anything else. Anything else new? I don't think so. I think I already showed all these things, probably. So yeah, this is just the back of the weapon of the Cape Newenham demon with its little loop on there. A Sigyuk Pak Spit. Kind of looks like a bird too in a way, but so yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that pretty much. To head out to the open mic. These two are older, but I just posted them again so I could refer to them quickly here. All right. Thank you much and take care. And thanks for the input, Ronald. Much appreciated. Good stuff.